That's right, people. Body positivity. I am wearing leggings again. And my Tourette's has given me a nice butt because I have this one tick. Oh, fuck you. That's not the tick. I have this one tick where I clench my butt every like 5 seconds. I'll do it for hours on end. So no matter what weight I was, I had a toned butt. Enough tea. Let's not spill it. Hi, welcome to my room in rehab. I've tried to make it look like I'm on a talk show. I don't know. I just cleared everything from the sides. Staff keeps coming in to check on me because they think I'm having a nervous breakdown because I keep re-recording this video. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, I have a service dog for PTSD. His name, and for seizures, with Tourette's. Anyways, he's multi-purpose. Thank you. His name is Damian Thomas Wayne Elgul Sullivan the First. And he's a very good boy, except for sometimes he's not because he steals butter. So I'm taking away his privilege of being a good boy. If you think he deserves to be a good boy again, please argue your point in the comments. Ah. Hey, you know what's funny? Asparagus stick. So, that looks inappropriate. Let's talk about trauma. What is trauma? Well, trauma can be really big things. Trauma can be really little things that are big to you. Trauma can be natural disasters, having your house ripped through with tornadoes, no fun, being through a hurricane, school shootings, being around a school shooting, even hearing gunshots can be a trauma. Trauma can also be incredibly personal, like trying to come out to your parents and getting rejected. That can be traumatic. Things like falling off a bike and people laugh at you as a kid, that can be traumatic. So trauma is something that's like deeply upsetting to you, okay? It's like discomfort or distress, but usually it stays with you for a while and it's something that needs to be worked out. So for me, I don't know that I'm comfortable explaining where the gist of my PTSD, the most of my PTSD came from. Haha, jizz. But, fuck me harder, Obama. I will tell you one thing, and one of the things that is big in my trauma is my father's suicide. And although I didn't witness it, my father had promised he'd come home from Singapore, and a couple hours before taking his flight, he jumped off the building. We lived in the penthouse of a condominium estate in Singapore, and he took his life, and I'll never understand it, but I hopefully will never understand terminal cancer and having 2 kids. So that was my father's decision, and that was pretty traumatic for me. If I have a flashback, I'll edit it out of the video. So what are flashbacks exactly? And how do I know when I have one? Well, a flashback is where I'm stuck in the memory. So for instance, if we're just keeping with the dad example, because I don't want to talk about the other ones. Multiple ones. That's why I'm in rehab. Sometimes I'll smell roses and I'll think I'm back at my dad's funeral and I'll see him in the open casket across the room. And I have to ground myself and tell myself that it's not real. So an example of grounding is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which I'm terrible at. So I'm kind of hypocritical here, but here we go. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you could touch, 3 things you can smell or like the smell of, 2 things you can taste or like the taste of, and 1 thing in 1 deep breath. I don't know. Everybody makes up their own version, but that's the one I'm going with today. Another way to know that I've been triggered by something is I will start ticking a lot. So if I haven't mentioned what tics are, because I've shot this video like 3 times because I keep shouting inappropriate things. Oh, fuck me. If you think that's inappropriate, you should have heard what I was ticking before. One way to know that I've been triggered, I'm uncomfortable telling people when I'm triggered, but I need to work on that. One of the ways that, your nipples trigger me. One of the ways I know I'm triggered is I'll start ticking more, and that means that I'm uncomfortable. So if you're having a conversation with me and you're like, hey, what's your stance on suicide? I'm like, some people think it's an answer and it's their choice, but do we like it? You'll know. You'll be like, oh, May is triggered. So what is a trigger warning? I think we all remember 2014 Tumblr. at least I do, where everything was trigger culture. Oh my gosh, it's so triggering. You can't talk about that. Dude, I needed a trigger warning. Like that. Trigger warnings are actually great. And maybe I learned it wrong, but this is how I know what a trigger warning is. So let's say somebody's going to be talking, trigger warning, by the way, I'm going to be talking about assault. So let's say that somebody is sharing in therapy and they want to share about an assault they had in college. This is just a random example. I'm not using anything from people I've known ever. Although I've known a lot of people in college who were assaulted. If somebody says in therapy, I want to talk about what happened to me last Friday, trigger warning, it has to do with sexual assault. If I'm uncomfortable with that and I don't think I can handle it, I'll say, thank you for the warning, I'm going to go get a cup of tea. I don't know why I'm getting tea. In college, I couldn't afford tea. So that's a trigger warning. Trigger warnings basically mean get ready. So if you get ready by saying, okay, I'm going to do deep breathing while they talk about this. Okay, I'm going to remove myself from the room. Or okay, I'm going to listen and participate, and just know if it's too much, I will take the responsibility to get up and walk out of the room. So that's what a trigger warning is. Trauma is very personal. It can be what happens to you, but you can also be triggered. You can also have traumatic experiences by what happens to someone else. For example, no, I guess that happened to me. That also happened to me. Okay, let's use an example of another person. If someone else just lost a kid to cancer, that can be traumatizing to you if you're dealing with the aftermath of the family. Or if you go to the funeral or things like that. It doesn't have to be directly related to you, and I need you guys to know that it's okay if you have trauma. It doesn't mean it's forever, but trauma versus distress is, trauma is not a mindset, but it's just difficult. And it can be very, very upsetting. And distress sounds almost temporary, but trauma, I would never say trauma's forever, but for some people it is. And people have been through things worse than I have. And people have been through, one of the things I feel guilty of is people will go through something absolutely horrible. And what I went through in the summer of 8th grade was terrible, dangerous, unsafe. I could have died. But, don't trigger yourself, man. Don't trigger yourself, man. Don't trigger yourself, man. I have to laugh sometimes. Sometimes I feel guilty because I'll hear stories of people who have been through something worse than me, and they'll deal with it, and it'll look like they're fine. But some people deal with trauma by not dealing with it. And honestly, if you're trying to heal from trauma, or you're trying to deal with it on your own, or you feel like you need help, please reach out to someone, because trauma is tricky and it's not something we can resolve on our own. Very rarely have I ever heard of someone resolving their own trauma. And again, I'm in a rehab facility because my PTSD is so bad. I dissociate, I have flashbacks. Well, I'm not going to talk about that side effect. You know what? I'll say it. I get so scared that sometimes I will walk into the shower with my clothes on and pee. Yep. And it's not like, oh, that's happened like once or twice. That's happened 6 times while I've been here. Like, don't worry, the staff is great, but they check on us every 15 minutes, and boy, can I get into a lot of stuff. So, anyways, I hope any of this was helpful, like any of this at all, and if it wasn't, just know, baseline, anything can be traumatic. Don't let people feel bad. You don't let other people make you feel bad for saying like that's nothing, because it can be very traumatic for you. Know that your body will respond with a lot of triggers by ticking a lot. Know that trigger warnings are very helpful for other people. You don't know what other people have been through oftentimes. Know that trigger warnings put a lot of responsibility on yourself, not on making the other person shut up, but making you know what you need to do, and that you should always advocate for yourself. And I love you so much, and I care about you, all my children. Fuck your mom. Fuck your dad. Motherfucker. Mother. What? I guess father. Anyways, I try not to say bad words on purpose. So, thank you for taking time to listen to me today. I didn't get any of my tea drank. Also, look out for live streams. I'd love to give you guys advice. Keep in mind I have terrible advice, but I'm probably older than you, so I don't know. I'm wise. Don't know. Love you. Bye. I'm gonna turn this off. Bye, chair.